gaat beginnen in enkele momentje. Dus komen bij ons om een beetje de ploeg van de film te ontmoeten. Voilà. Alors, bonsoir à tous. Le Q&A donc de Bees Make Honey va commencer avec l'équipe du film. Nous avons ici le réalisateur Jack Eve présent à nos côtés, mais nous avons aussi, et c'est une surprise, le producteur Andrew Riak et l'acteur, un des acteurs principaux, Monsieur Trevor Eve, que vous avez pu voir notamment dans Troy ou Waking the Dead. Voilà, le Q&A sera en anglais.
Ja. Goedenavond. Dus we hebben de ploeg van de film Bees Make Honey. De Q&A zal in het Engels plaatsvinden. Maar u zal de mogelijkheid hebben om uw vragen te stellen. In het Nederlands, Frans.
Voilà. First question. Well, first, thank you for being with us tonight. And first question, I read on in the screening, during the screening, that it was based on true event. What event exactly what this film is based on?
So thank you all for coming to the Q&A, by the way. Really appreciate you coming. So basically, in pre-World War II Britain, there's a country house called Wilton House, which is a particularly beautiful country estate, which is in southern England. And it's said that before, when Hitler was planning to invade Britain, he had his eye on that particular house to be his British headquarters. So the true events is slightly the true events is that Hitler was is that house was what he wanted, and I therefore took that idea and then sort of made it into a narrative, and then used honey as a.
So it's more contextual. It's not the murder on itself that it's based on true event.
Yeah, no, it's not the murder itself. It's the concept of Hitler desiring and wanting this home to be his British headquarters, and then figuring out a way that he could make that happen and facilitate that.
He had a list of buildings in particularly in London, which is why the Houses of Parliament were never bombed, because they were going to be his headquarters, and there's a list of them which you can access.
Thank you.
So what was your original idea for this movie? I mean, what did you want to do? How did you come up with this idea? Of course, there's the Hitler thing. And then, how did you come up with the rest?
Well, I was quite interested in the concept of someone who had put on some kind of social event, like a party or something, like a gathering of people. And then if a murder had taken place in that event, and then if the murder remained, as in the story, unsolved, that said person would then re-invite the same guests to attend the same event at a certain period later, which in this movie was a year later, to try and solve the crime. And so in a sense, they would recreate the scenario to try and figure out who it was who initially committed the crime. And that was something which really planted a seed in my brain, and then I did some subsequent research and discovered this whole thing, as I was saying to Marjorie, about Wilton House being a desired headquarters for Hitler in Britain, and they merged together and became what is the story of Bees Make Honey.
Maybe another question then, because it's really truly like when you read a novel of Agatha Christie, you have these plots. A murderer to discover, and you follow all the character throughout all the film before getting the clue and the answer to the murder case. And I have the feeling that it was a little bit broad, like an Agatha Christie novel. Was it influence, the novel of Agatha Christie? Is it an influence for you to write the script or not?
Yeah, of course, Agatha Christie and Poirot, and also at the time of my writing it, Downton Abbey was particularly popular, which is a television show which I'm sure is in something which we can all associate with. And so it was a period, the time, the pre-World War II Britain and pre-World War II Europe is a particularly interesting period. And so, yes, most definitely. And also the carry-on films, I don't know if you're familiar with carry-on films that were a kind of British kind of stalwart of cinema in the 60s and 70s. And in fact, interestingly, we shot the film, which I'm sure AJ can elaborate on, is that AJ's my producer, we shot the film in Pinewood Studios, which is obviously quite a renowned studio in Britain. And the last film to do what we did there, which is pre-production, production, and post-production, all within the studio, are the Carry On films. So it's quite a nice thing to it was a nice handshake for us to, and that was 40 years ago now. So it was a nice thing to share with that kind of, with the Carry On film and with that sort of genre of films and of cinema, of British cinema.
Maybe a question for the producer. What did you like about this project at first?
So when Jack first gave me the script, I really liked the fact that it was something different, taking this kind of period stuffy genre that we have in the UK, kind of flipping it on its head, exploring some kind of different themes with a hedonistic vibe, the murder mystery element, how he told me how he wanted to shoot the film. It just really inspired me, and I thought it's a film that's going to be different. People can get their popcorn in the film and just sit down and just go and watch something different that they've not seen before or not seen in a long time, and that's what really appealed to me. Jack was introduced to me from a very good friend, and yeah, we just hit it off. That's how I got involved with it, really.
Maybe for you too, what do you like in the script of your son? Because you played in several films made by your son. So what did you like in this film, and also in the film The Death of a Farmer?
I had no choice, really.
He didn't have a choice.
he gave me the script and said, "You're playing this," and I said, "Okay, son, thank you." I really admire his abilities, and I love the script. I think it's inventive, super creative. I think he's a very talented human being, and it was a real privilege to be directed by him, and I'm very grateful that he gave me the opportunity to do that.
Maybe to stay on this family work. Well, one of the actresses is your sister, so really it's a family work. But is it difficult to direct your father, that has much more experience than you in the cinema, and your sister?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they're obviously incredibly supportive, which I really appreciated, and having AJ, and I mean, everyone we were all very supportive of each other. But yeah, Alice and my dad are obviously been around for a while. So it was just a case of trying to learn as much as I can from them, and also trying to maintain my sense of self and maintain what it was that I wanted to try and achieve, and that we wanted to try and achieve with the movie. But certainly it was a challenge, because there was already such emotion that we shared, that it's very important in the very efficient and economic situation that is making a film and trying to stick to a schedule and get things done on time. It was a challenge to remove the emotion from my when communicating with my dad and my sister, but also to try and make sure that there was still that sense of everyone feeling comfortable and secure enough to be able to do the best job they can do.
And I think you with Jack, what immediately happened for me, I can only speak for me, not for my daughter, is that I just respected him as a director, and I've worked with a lot of directors, hundreds of directors, and he was just so commanding and really good from the outset that I kind of forgot that he was my son, and I respected what he had to say, and I thought it was good, paid attention, and did what he wanted. It wasn't I think the father-son thing went within minutes, really. And I was never aware of it when we were working. I never thought anything about that relationship. It was very much director-actor.
You never shared a little bit of your experience to help him, in a way?
No, he wouldn't listen.
He actually did tell me one thing that I really found helpful, and he said that as a director, I think there's many. I don't mean to undermine his opinions of them, but the most important thing is to make sure you know where the actors are going to be. And that was, I kind of really understood what he meant by that, and I took that with me throughout the whole process of any film that we've made together, of which this is the second time we've been fortunate enough to work with each other. And it was, basically try and understand and imagine where the actors are going to be within the scene, and then from there everything kind of falls into place.
You're an actor too. You're directing, but you're also an actor. How does this impact your work on a set during the shoot? Are you involved with? Do you give particular directions to the actor? Being an actor yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up with actors. Obviously, as my whole family are actors, so I feel very comfortable around actors, which I think is advantageous, because I think the film set should be an environment where the actor feels comfortable, and it should ultimately cater for the actor and allow them to execute their craft to the best of their ability. So being able to understand what the actor is going through emotionally and technically is certainly something which has benefited me, and I think benefited in turn the actors. And I think I would often find myself I feel very comfortable around actors, which is really nice, and it's a nice feeling to have.
On va peut-être voir si quelqu'un a des questions. Heeft iemand een vraag?
Well, I'm really intrigued with the costumes, because really you have a lot of costume in this film, and it's almost like a Victorian ball, like you have in the Kingdom of England at the time. So you needed, of course, a very experienced team or a very good team to bring that. I think you don't have much budget, so how did you get your team to do that? How did you choose the member of your team?
Well, yeah, we had a modest budget, and I think the best person to answer that question as far as how we assembled the team of incredibly talented people and heads of departments that we were fortunate enough to work with is probably AJ, because he was integral and incredible in bringing together this wonderful, bunch of people with crazy imaginations.
But it was easy to bring the HODs on board that we did because of the script and the material. If the script and the material isn't there, then you can't get the Russell de Rosarios of this world who have gone and done X-Men and Hitman's Bodyguard, these huge multi-million-pound feature films. They don't come out to play unless they really care about something. And Russell read the script, really loved it, and he was kind of the first kind of peg in the board in terms of production design, and then everybody kind of followed suit once we had that. So we had Charlotte, who went and did all the makeup, which was incredible, who works with Emma Watson all the time. We had Francisco Rodriguez-Vile, who actually comes from a stage background and does all of the costume design for the Royal Ballet in London, so he knew and understood the period and what we were going for. Richard Stoddard, the DOP, has done so many films and was just inspired with Jack and worked through the storyboarding process. So when we got to set and we knew we had 60 extras across 3 days, and we had to film this party scene in this environment and make that party scene huge, we knew what we had to do. And they were the most expensive days that we had on the film, because everything else was like a pocket away from the party, whether in the bathroom or whether in the kitchen scenes or whatever else, with the kind of integral characters. So when we spent the money, yes, we spent the money on a few days, but we made it go far, I think, and that's what makes it work.
Well, and it goes also for the music, because the music is really present through the film, and it's very supporting the film. So where did you find the composer? Did you know him already, or is it someone you found along the way?
I'd seen a couple of Ryan Beveridge's movies, and I thought he was particularly talented, and so I was able to contact him through my executive producer, who put me in touch, Steve Clark Hall. And yeah, he's a fantastic composer, and it was a real thrill to work with him during his writing process. And then we were very fortunate to go to Bratislava, where we worked with the
National Bratislava Symphony Orchestra that do a lot of scores for films.
We had a 32-piece orchestra, and it was an incredible experience for all of us, but I think particularly for Ryan, to see this fantastic orchestra playing this music that he'd written for our film, and it was a real pleasure to work with him, and he's a particularly talented composer.
There were also songs in French. We liked it. Yeah, I had a question, short question. How did you come up with the title of the movie? You thought about the character Honey, and then...
Well, she achieves her ultimate goal of solving the crime by
so the first thing was
using bees.
Right. Yeah, so the first thing you came up with was the name Honey, and then you worked your way through these bees. And
well, I have a kind of like a certain... I have a thing, something like what I like to do is I always think about the title. I hope I get to make more films, but I always think about the title as I'm writing.
Okay.
But I never, on Final Draft, I don't know if you ever use Final Draft, but there's a title page option.
Yeah.
I have a strict rule that I never touch the title page until I've finished the first draft of the script.
Okay.
So I was flirting with the title for a while, and then as soon as I finished the first draft, I then opened the title page and wrote it down, and Bees Make Honey just seemed to fit. It made sense that she uses bees to achieve her goal of solving the crime, and obviously her name was always Honey. I didn't alter that according to the title. It was always Honey, and I always aware that what her ultimate goal was and how she was going to achieve that. So Bees Make Honey seemed to be the best fit to express that.
There was no reference to that old rock band from the 70s. There was a UK.
I have Googled Bees Make Honey actually a couple times, and yeah, there is a cult rock band called Bees Make Honey, which apparently you've researched too. I haven't heard their music though. I'm sure it's good.
Maybe a question for the three of you, for each point of view. What was the biggest challenge for you in this film?
The wig, I think.
It wasn't a wig. It's actually real. It's real hair.
And the shoes that were too small for me on the first day, and I lost 2 toenails. But that was about it. I found it a really pleasurable experience. I can't say that there was a particular challenge. I think that the dialogue is very exacting, so it was you had to give due diligence and pay respect to that. So you had to get it right, but it was a joy to do. So I don't think there were any particular challenges. It was hugely enjoyable for me. Yeah.
What was the biggest challenges? I can't. I mean, making a film is a challenge. It's not easy, and making a short film is hard. But actually, making a feature film, when you've got X amount of money, that's it. It's really tough to get everything that you want for your director on screen. And for me, it was, whilst we were shooting this film, was getting Jack everything he wanted. And whether that was a 30-foot crane to 60, 70 people in a room, everything was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge, and I certainly wouldn't be in this game if I didn't enjoy that. So I think making an independent feature film, certainly in the climate that we live in today, is really tough, and that's the hardest part for sure.
Yeah, I think I agree with AJ. Making a film is the biggest challenge of all, just in general, whatever film it may be. But I also agree with my dad, as it was actually a really pleasurable experience, and I had such a great time. And it was a real joy to work with the people I got to work with. And the ultimate challenge was just, I suppose, to try and always provide an environment for all the talented people, from AJ to my dad to all the HODs and all the background artists who came on a daily basis, to try and provide an environment where everyone felt comfortable and felt they could do their job to the best of their ability. And I think that's ultimately what I'll always, hoping if I get to make more movies, always trying to do, is to make sure people feel comfortable and relaxed enough, and whatever they need to feel to do their job the best way they can.
So is it your challenge as director to make sure that everybody is comfortable in your team to make your film? That is a challenge.
It's certainly one of the challenges. Yeah, there are many challenges, but it's certainly one of them.
But if I may say, for a comparatively inexperienced director, he really achieved that. It was one of the happiest sets I've worked on, and believe me, there are some miserable sets out there. Are there not?
Thank you. Tonight it was, if I'm not mistaken, the premiere, the international premiere of the film.
Yeah, that's correct, Marjorie.
So is there something already going on for the distribution of the film? Is it already sold?
Well, I was speaking earlier with Stefan, who introduced the film and myself. That we have North American distribution from a company called Hulu, which he wasn't too familiar with. But I don't know if anyone else is too familiar with it. But it's exclusively in North America. But it's essentially a subscription VOD service, similar to Netflix. It's actually kind of like a brother sister of Netflix. So we secured that in North America, and there are several other territories across the world. I think 3 other ones. I can't recall off the top of my head, forgive me, but China's one, and I think Australia's one. But our sales agents, Q Media, are doing a fantastic job in building off the back of the Hulu deal, which is we're really excited about, and it's obviously a fantastic platform for us to release the film. So on the back of that, we're selling the other territories, and from what I can tell from Q Media, it seems to be going well. So fingers crossed, touch wood, we'll keep going, and hopefully it'll do well enough to allow me to come back, or allow us to come back to a festival like this again in the future, because we've had a really great time, and it's a really wonderful festival, and the enthusiasm from the audience was a really special thing to witness, and I'm really grateful to be part of it. So thank you once again for having us and for having me and for having our film, because we're all really excited to be here.
Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Zijn er vragen in het publiek? C'est le moment, c'est l'instant. Het is nu of nooit, parce qu'on arrive à la fin du Q&A, het is bijna het einde van de Q&A. On va donc continuer, on arrive tout doucement à la fin du Q&A. We are going to the end of the Q&A now. Maybe I'm going to ask you for the next project. I know you have a project called Lost Signal. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So that is a thriller based on an island called Shemi Island. It's set now, it's about the decommissioning of a Cold War base. It's all about electronic voice phenomena with these 8 people that are basically on this base in the middle of nowhere, decommissioning this huge radar satellite. A person goes missing on the island, and they start hearing voices from this person that's gone missing, and they're trying to find out who did it.
Thriller, sci-fi, a little bit?
Thriller, psychological thriller, for sure.
Okay. And for you, maybe? Already thinking about another movie with your family?
Yes, I'm most certainly writing and keeping on going and seeing if I can get to collaborate with other people. But at the moment, I'm got a few things up in the air, but nothing which is concrete enough to get excited about in this environment. But I'm certainly got a few things going.
Mr. Yves?
Yes, I'm going to go and work again. I'm going to go to Brazil and shoot a project about Theodore Roosevelt and J.P. Morgan. For HBO. That's I'm playing J.P. Morgan, who had a huge bulbous nose. I think that's why I got the job. So there.
Thank you. Donc on va mettre fin au Q&A. I'm going to ask you the question I ask all the guests to end the Q&A. Can you describe this festival in 3 words?
Very, very enthusiastic.
Here you go.
Fantastic vibe, fun.
Passionate, knowledgeable, enthusiastic.
Thank you, guys.
Maybe I would like to know, how would you describe Bees Make Honey in 3 words?
Bees make honey.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us tonight. Stay a little bit longer for the pictures and the signature.
Thank you so much.
Sunday.
S-A-N-D-Y.
Yes.
Sandy or Patrick? This one's Sandy.
My origin is from Britain.
I don't know. We need a big.
I think I'll use, if it's all right, I'll keep using Patrick. Thank you.